This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Welcome, listeners. I'm your host, Danny, and I'm the first-time reader who's going through this 15-book series chapter by chapter. As always, there's no spoilers past the chapter we're covering, and that means it's totally safe for first-time readers. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. We'd like to acknowledge and thank our executive producers, Brandy and Aaron Kirkwood, and Andre the Man in White. Before we get into things today, we just want to thank and welcome Derek Benton and Hawk Dog to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. It means a lot to us to have your support, and we really want to thank you for your generosity. In this episode, we're talking about chapters 19 and 20 of The Shadow Rising.
Yeah, so chapter 19, we have the Wavedancer, and chapter 20 is Winds Rising.
Yes, it's good.
Yeah, a lot of new stuff because we basically get introduced to a new culture, new people, so we have lots to nitpick through that, and a lot of interactions, and a lot of stuff, and a lot of things.
Some stuff and things.
Yeah.
Stuff and things, for sure. This is one of the first times that I wish we stopped and recorded after I read the first chapter.
Oh.
Because when I was reading the first chapter, I had a lot of predictions
about
things that are immediately revealed and answered in the next chapter. And I was reading the second chapter going, oh man, I'm going to say that I predicted this, but no one's going to believe me.
Well, it's kind of funny how it plays out too, because chapter 19 is super secretive, and it's a mystery, and nobody knows, and you don't know what's going on. Then chapter 20, they're like,
it's like a huge reveal.
This is why. This makes sense now for you, so here you go.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
I'll vouch for you and say that you predicted it, even though I don't know that for sure.
Okay. Thanks, husband.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Oh, and also, the best part of these chapters, boobs.
Lots of them.
Right? Am I right? Okay.
No boob debate here.
Okay. So let's get into it then. So for my fun fact, I had a lot of options for fun facts because there's lots to pull out of it, and I landed on...
Can I guess?
Oh, okay, sure.
The sniffer boxes.
No, that would have been good though.
I thought you were totally going to tell me about the sniffy boxes.
No, I did no research into that at all, so...
Oh, okay.
But what I did pick was the Silk Path.
Okay.
It was between that or dolphins.
I really wanted to know about sniff boxes.
Okay, we can speculate, so... Okay, but the Silk Path, because we got this as a reference, it's like the pathway through the Aiel Waste that the Kyrianan took to reach Shara to trade, because we get that whole backstory from Tom later on.
And now no one even knows what the hell Shara is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can tell you it's definitely China, because this is... Well, the Silk Path is clearly a reference to the Silk Road, which was and is a real thing in our world. So the Silk Road was a network of trade routes which connected the East and the West, and was really central to the economic and cultural and other interactions between different regions of Asia and Europe and Africa from the 2nd century BCE all the way up to the 18th century.
Now, is that similar to the spice trade?
Well, okay, kind of sort of. They were typically the land routes, the land roads. It wasn't just one big long highway. It was a series of routes. But the name itself is derived from the silk, which was first derived in China and was the major reason for the connection of the trade routes into this big, gigantic, continental network. So there is a little bit of controversy in the Silk Road universe, though. So some people argued that the spice trade was more important than the silk trade, so it shouldn't be labeled as silk in particular. But I'm going to leave that up to the scholars to figure that one out. But anyways, a couple fun facts about the Silk Road. First, it was over 4,000 miles of trade routes. So, like I said, it wasn't just one big, long superhighway. It's a huge series of interconnecting trade routes. And then, secondly, Marco Polo famously traveled to China along the Silk Road. And then, besides silk, other things were traded, like spices, salt, sugar, goods, and, of course, the bubonic plague.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Too bad. But there you go.
Did Marco Polo go missing? Is that where that game stems from?
Okay, so Marco Polo is a separate subject. Okay. We're going to have a big fun fact on Marco Polo.
We are?
Because he wrote a book that's famously titled The Travels of Marco Polo.
Okay.
Right? Cool. Because Travels of Jane Forsyrider.
Oh.
Okay. That's for later. Okay. That's not for now. That's for later.
Piqued my interest.
That book we keep hearing about.
Okay,
so,
cool.
anyways,
there
you go.
Okay.
So anyways, Shara is totally China.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. and they've never heard of it.
Nope.
Too bad.
No idea.
Too bad. Okay, so last time, this is just a recap of everybody again.
Oh my god,
So Tom and Moraine, turns out, don't actually know each other, but know a lot of each other. And Moraine tried to convince Tom to go to Tanchico to keep Elaine and Nynaeve, and mostly Elaine, safe. Plus, she had to bribe him to do it.
Yes.
With the Red Sisters name, Owen, story.
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
Stuff. Okay.
I'd say bribe and guilt.
Bribe and guilt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good combo.
Okay. Well, it works.
Yeah.
Turns out. So, Min is trapped in Tarvalon indefinitely. Perrin and crew are headed to the Two Rivers via the Ways.
Yep.
And still treating Loyal terribly.
On the worst journey ever.
Yep. Elaine and Nynaeve are headed to Tanchico, and here is where we pick up.
Yes, okay, good.
So, chapter 19 is called the Wavedancer.
Yeah, and really exciting.
Yes. So we get a new picture. Is that what's really exciting?
That's the really exciting part,
okay.
yeah.
So it's like waves and birds, and it's clearly what's tattooed on their hand.
Okay, sure,
Right?
yeah.
Because we get waves and seabirds and a star on their hand.
Yeah.
Specifically these sea folk. I don't know if different, like, clans or whatever, families or groups have different ones.
Yeah.
Because I do have a point to talk about later about a certain other sea folk that we saw in a certain Dark Friend social.
Oh, you caught
who had
that,
a certain tattoo on his hand.
Yeah, okay.
So.
That's cool. Good pickup.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we enter in Elaine's point of view. We enter on Elaine and Nynaeve heading to the docks to head to Tanchico. And then we get a lot of descriptions. And we get Nynaeve yelling at a cab driver.
Yeah, for like a long time.
And we get Elaine feeling bad for the cab driver and giving him too much money. And then Nynaeve yelling at Elaine for wasting her money.
Yeah, so different upbringings.
That was the summary of like 3 pages.
That was pretty good. There might be some like reason for yelling at the cab driver because they don't like Aes Sedai. He might have been taking a bumpy, route.
No.
He might be deserving a little bit, so.
I don't think so, because we got that whole mall situation is like super muddy.
Yeah.
And there's tons of ruts and.
Well, they didn't get like curtains on their cab either,
oh
so.
My God.
I mean, there's a whole thing.
They should have ordered the Uber X.
They should have.
We also get that Terran nobles treat their people just terribly.
Yes.
And
Elaine is much better at it.
Elaine thinks her mother would never treat people that badly.
So is this just like a real thing too?
I don't know.
Outsider perspective, insider perspective?
Inside.
Are Andoran nobles actually better?
Well, we do know that Queen Morgase gives, what's it called? The Queen's Bounty?
Yeah,
to
the blessing or
people.
something? Yeah.
Like she
doesn't let people starve or go broke and homeless.
Yeah, I'm sure
having...
she doesn't treat people like just garbage.
Not as bad as the Terrans.
Right.
Okay.
But Elaine also thinks that Rand won't treat people badly either.
Yeah, because he's listening to her.
Yes. And now, here we go again with Elaine thinking that she knows about another culture that she actually knows nothing about.
Right. It's like everything she read in books or was taught, so.
Mm-hmm. So, we get introduced to the fact that they're getting on this sea folk ship, the Raker, that Moraine had originally talked about.
Yeah. And boy, are they exotic. Wow.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, Elaine does have some good advice for Nynaeve, though.
Don't be a
bitch? Yeah. She says,
right.
Be tactful.
Yeah.
Right. But Nynaeve is like, what are you talking about? I'm always excellent.
I'm the most tactful person. Yeah, yeah, and I was just thinking, because she's thinking, oh, I hope that the boat ride is better than the cab ride. Mm-hmm. But isn't Nynaeve the one who got super seasick when they were on the... Mm-hmm. So, like, this isn't going to go very well, probably.
Well, no, because the ship is super narrow, and Elaine thinks about how the ship will toss them around, and Nynaeve struggles with seasickness.
Yeah, so there's going to be that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And when Nynaeve is seasick, she's also not at her most pleasant.
Yeah, and she's already not very pleasant.
Yeah, does Nynaeve have a pleasant side?
She has a less miserable mode, but, like, it's really hard to...
She must be less miserable when it's, like, just her and Lan.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too, but
like,
I don't know.
I want to see them taking their moonlit strolls.
Yeah, what's she really like? I want to see
that. Like, why can't we see that?
Yeah, there's no time for
Maybe
that.
I'd like her a little more.
There's only so much room in these books to write stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And she had to be all, like, stoic in front of like, especially Egwene.
Yeah.
When Lan stormed in. And plus, she doesn't like land like telling her what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts her on guard.
Yikes. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anyway, so we do actually get some actual information about the sea folk here.
Yeah, we do.
About how their culture is as foreign as the Aiel. And this is where I immediately thought about their channelers. Because, because the Aiel have their own system for dealing with their channelers, clearly.
Yes, 100%.
And the Aiel don't send their channelers to the White Tower. And the Aes Sedai have no idea about the Aiel at all.
Well, even just remembering Varen and her interaction.
She had no idea.
Way back, and she's like, oh, I wish I could get some of you in the tower to study.
Yeah.
It's like, nope.
Yeah. And so I immediately thought, oh, here's another culture that's sort of separated from the rest of the world. I wonder what their view on, like, channelers and, like, what do they do? Like, that was, like, my immediately what I thought.
Yeah.
And then it, like, gets answered.
Next chapter, in 20 it's like super hinted at this chapter, and the next chapter they're like, yep, that's what happens.
Yeah, and then this is where I was like, I wish we recorded this chapter so you can get all my speculations. And on the Shan-Chen stuff, too.
So you're saying we're going to go back to one chapter at a time?
No.
There's no time for that.
There is literally zero time for any of that. But I did have some speculations about all the Shan-Chen stuff.
Okay, let's hear it then. Yeah.
That was only briefly mentioned here. And then it immediately gets resolved also.
Okay, yeah.
But, so, about these sea folk, they are a dark people with lots of piercings and tattooed hands. And this is where I say, guy from the Great Hunt prologue.
Yeah, do you remember what his tattoo was?
A star.
A 6-pointed star tattooed on the web between the thumb and forefinger.
Clearly different than these sea folk.
So that's good. We're not, like, probably not at...
Right, I was on guard for that.
Oh, okay.
I was on guard.
Good.
For sure.
You should be, so.
But there are also women among the crew here.
Yes.
Which is also very similar to Aiel culture, where the women also fight alongside the men.
Yeah, they're not treated differently. They're just people who also do the same things.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And so, there are 2 women on, like, the higher deck who are clearly in charge.
Yes, and dressed differently.
Well, they have more jewelry, and they also have the sniffy boxes.
The sniffy boxes.
And you have no information for me
No,
on
I really don't.
Oh.
I don't have anything for that. So
It jogged a memory of mine about one time having information about something like this.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know it now.
I could look into that a little bit. I never really questioned it.
I also could have done a quick Google, and I really thought you were going to talk about it.
No, I'm just thinking like probably smelling salts or something.
It's definitely something because they're in like ports that stink.
And that could very well be a thing that they keep around them. So, yeah. I mean, I can look into it. I don't know if I'm going to find anything interesting. But...
I think that there is. Like, I have a memory of knowing something about these things.
Really?
Yeah, but it was just so long ago, and I didn't keep it...
Not relevant to the book series, just like in real life?
Like, yeah, just in real life. Like, it's a real thing. Or maybe it was other fantasy that I saw it in. I actually have no clue.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Okay, we're going to have to
talk about it later.
We're going to have to move on. Because... here we get Elaine being very confused about how they're going to steer the ship.
Ship facts. We covered this. I did a whole thing about this.
Yeah, the whole, like, spokes on the wheel thing, right?
Like the wheel and how there's not a tiller.
Yeah.
And the tiller is old-timey technology and the wheel is new-timey technology. But it's a nice indication that the sea folk vessels are, like, more advanced than anything else going on in Renland.
Cool.
So much so that she doesn't even know what she's looking at.
Yes.
Which is not the first piece of technology that they have that she doesn't know what she's looking at.
Right. Are you talking about chairs bolted to the ground?
No, I'm talking about Toram's glasses.
Oh, yeah, I do have a note
Okay,
about
we'll get to that. So.
Yeah. So, turns out that Moraine has taught them some things about how to interact with these people and what to say and how to say it, how to ask for passage. They're very formal.
Yes, they're very formal. Did you catch the girls super lying right now?
Yeah, about how they're both green as.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Like, I don't know. I bought it from Egwene. Like, that made sense to me. Like, right away, I was like, oh, she's choosing Green Aja. I get it. She was curious about it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
She asked beforehand.
These two, I feel like the only reason they're like, yeah, we're Green Aja is because...
they like men.
They like, yeah, like, oh, we love men.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't buy it as much as I bought it when Egwene
No, that's fair. But it's just like, you know, Moraine clearly...
also found it amusing.
Yeah. And she's like, I just don't want to know about it, basically, so...
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
It's clearly like against the rules to pretend you're Aes Sedai. But
100%.
also going into Tanchico, you're going to have to fake it. So
Yes. So, whatever. Anyways, there's an older lady named... Now, it's spelled like coin, but I'm going to go ahead and take a guess that it's like Coeen.
Yeah, I think it's Coeen.
Okay. But she also has some fancy name.
Yeah. Coeen Din Jubai Wildwinds, Sail Mistress of Wavedancer. And then the other one is Joran Din Jubai, White Wing, Windfinder of Wavedancer.
Okay.
So, and they're sisters.
Sisters.
Yeah.
Turns out.
You couldn't tell from the Din Jubai?
I could,
Yeah.
maybe. Although...
You never know.
Also, similar to Aiel.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? So you're not sure if it's like a sept name or what.
Yes. But they are. They call themselves Sisters of the Blood or something like that.
Yeah, so that kind of like hints that they're actually sisters.
Yes. And we get that the boat is a him, which I actually found weird, like Elaine finds weird.
Yeah, well, traditionally it's a she.
Yeah.
I don't actually
Typically,
know.
I know. Well, same with like cars and boats. Like, I don't know. They should be...
There's a thing, but I don't know why.
There is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That also could have been a fun fact, but there's too many options.
So many fun facts.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, the boat is called Wavedancer.
Yes.
And then we get Elaine being reminded of Avienda
Yeah.
because of the Windfinder.
Yeah, so you probably picked up on this pretty fast?
I did.
Yeah.
Now, what... Oh, I'm totally blanking, and
Okay.
this is unacceptable. But what was Nynaeve called? Like the wisdom, but what does she do? She listens to the wind, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. Listen to the wind, which is kind of a form of channeling.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And it's also to do with the wind.
Yeah.
So this is Windfinder.
Yeah.
It's to do with the wind, and it's clearly like
Same thing.
She's a channeler.
Oh, yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
it's like she felt an affinity the same way that it was like with Avienda.
Yeah.
And that's clearly RJ saying it twice in the same paragraph.
Yeah.
He's trying to make it well known. And the next chapter, they just straight out and say it. So,
yes, they do. Yeah. Okay, so they're going to head into the cabin to talk about their passage. And Elaine recognizes a Shan-Chen helmet in the cabin and wants to know how they got it.
Yeah.
But
so,
she's not taking her own advice about being tactful here.
No. Neither of them are following their own rules very well. And that kind of is the trend throughout the entire two chapters.
Surprised.
I mean, yeah. So it's a big thing, and there's other things too. There's like a bunch of swords. There's an oddly worked square brass gong, and then the big insect helmet from Shan-Chen.
Right. Yeah. And Elaine is like, hey, I recognize that. Shan-Chen,
Oh man.
how did you get that?
Well, it's kind of funny that the sea folk just kind of expect the Aes Sedai to know things because that's just what they do.
Right.
So it's the all-knowing, all-powerful
Yep.
vibe that they're giving off.
Mhm.
So
Well, and it's same with how the Aiel felt
yeah.
meeting the quote Aes Sedai.
Yeah. So
Right?
we'll see how long that lasts because it doesn't seem like it lasts that long.
No. Okay, that's true. Okay, so turns out this ship was attacked by one of the Shan-Chen ships, and they beat the Shan-Chen.
They did. That's pretty huge.
Right, and
Yeah.
then Nynaeve forgets all of her tact and explains about the Damane, and if one of the Damane was on board that ship, they would not have won.
Yes. Except that it sounds like there might have
100%
been. So,
there was.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Like, there isn't a question.
Yeah.
Especially after reading the next chapter.
Yeah.
But for Nynaeve to say this, like, I feel like she doesn't actually have a very good understanding of the Shan-Chen at all. Because, like, what I know from the Shan-Chen is I don't think they would ever attack anyone without a Damane.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
they wouldn't
true too.
even try. Like, that's their weapon. It would be like going to war without guns.
Yeah, like they
for
well
them.
stock their ships.
Exactly, yeah.
So-
And so for Nynaeve to be like, oh, there must not have been one
Yeah.
on there, doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So, also, this is where the sea folk women keep their faces expressionless. Like, they keep their expressions neutral
Yeah.
during this conversation, and then immediately change the subject.
Yeah. And I mean, generally speaking, that's a good tactic in negotiations.
Yeah.
Don't
I
show everything on
feel
your
like
face.
Elaine and Nynaeve need to learn about 18 things before they should be allowed out on their own like this.
At least 18 things. We
Yeah.
could probably name them.
Yeah.
Anyway. Don't walk into traps.
Yeah, this is one of them.
Stop
Okay.
shouting at people.
Okay, so they sit at the table in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
With Elaine and Nynaeve beside each other, and the two women on either end of the long table.
Yeah.
So that...
I can tell you a lot about table positions when you're sitting and talking to people.
Yeah, you can tell me a lot about that?
Absolutely.
It seems pretty obvious to me.
I mean, it's a thing. Like, you don't want to set it up this way in sales. It's a bad way to sit.
Oh, in sales.
Yeah. Don't do it. What she's doing is terrible for, like, making people comfortable because it's a very uncomfortable way to sit.
No, this is on purpose, though.
Oh, I know it is, but
okay.
They're like trying to intimidate the Aes Sedai.
100%, yeah.
That's not what I would do. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's just so that they have to look one way,
yes.
and the other person can watch them.
Exactly.
Well,
and like keeps Nynaeve and Elaine off guard.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think is a good tactic.
It's not a very nice way to do it.
Bolting your chairs to the floor.
Always good.
And then having like a locking arm that they can't get out of easily.
Definitely good for negotiations.
Excellent.
Yep.
So, here we get a half-naked young woman coming in to bring them tea and immediately gets in trouble for it.
Yep. Not supposed to do that yet.
Yeah, well, she gets in trouble for the nakedness, not bringing them tea.
Yeah.
Which I read as she was in trouble for bringing them tea.
Oh, no. Okay.
Like, I thought she was bringing them the tea and interrupting.
Yeah.
And she was, like, getting in trouble for that. And it was like, oh, we haven't even left the shore yet. Why are you serving already?
Well, and it's funny.
But then I was like, oh, it's because her tits are out.
Yeah, well, Koyin is being sarcastic too in it, so the first time you read through it, it's hard to catch the sarcasm. She's like, oh, did we take off and I didn't notice that we'd already left shore? Yeah. No? Okay, well, go, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Something about bilges?
Yeah.
I assume bilges are toilets. I didn't look that up either, but...
Oh, bilges.
The bilges?
Probably.
Cleaning the bilges, probably. Something like that.
Probably. So, it's something bad. But, yeah, because apparently they're not allowed to have their tits out till they're away from the land because they know people are offended by boobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's a little insight into culture where on the ocean it doesn't matter. It's just a part of it.
Yes.
They don't actually care.
No.
So.
At all. It's just the, like, prudy, stuck-up mainlanders.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Like Elaine and Nynaeve not knowing where to look. So.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Don't look directly at them.
Oh, no.
Or is it a compliment to look at them?
Oh, one eye on them.
Yeah. Shoot. Well, Julin has this problem later, but we'll get to that guy.
Jumping ahead. There we go.
Okay, so Elaine says that she won't be offended by someone else's customs, which is
that's
a nice
good
thing to say.
Yeah, that is.
It's mature.
And she's like telling Nynaeve, like, don't be offended because they have a different culture.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Well, and she's right.
No, she's 100% right.
Okay, so then they get to discussing passages, and Nynaeve tells them that they need to go to Tanchico and quickly, and we'll give you a butt ton of gold from wherever you want as a gift for your inconvenience.
Yeah.
Which is a note from Moraine.
So they've got 2 letters of right, each worth 3,000 gold crowns. So I just want to point out the hypocrisy here, where Nynaeve is berating Elaine for paying the cab driver a little bit too much. A
couple silver pennies, yeah.
And then she gives over the first check for 3,000 gold crowns and is like, do you want more?
Yes.
It's like, that's so much money.
I know, but it's not Nynaeve's money.
It's
not hypocrisy. So... No, it is not. That's from Moraine.
Still.
Moraine, signed that. That's her...
Being smart with the money, though, is like, come on.
Nynaeve doesn't know that's not smart with the money. She has no idea how much this passage should cost.
I guess, okay. I see where you're coming from. She knows how much
you should tip a Uber driver. And that's their money for their vacation to Tanchico, right?
Okay. You know what? I get where you're coming from for that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll retract it. Just a little bit.
Okay. I get what you're saying, but I really don't think that the amount was up to Nynaeve, and it's not Nynaeve throwing out their journey money, right?
That's vacation money. This is different money.
Well, it is different money. This is the tower money.
I know. That's how you look at money, though, and I don't look at money like that. So it's all the same money.
But it's not.
Anything they don't pay the sea folk, they get to keep as a tip.
Oh, I did not see it that way.
$645.
Okay. We haven't had an Office reference in a while. So...
No, there's one though, so, okay.
All right, anyway. So it turns out that the sea folk don't often carry Aes Sedai and are allowed to refuse them passage, which Moraine failed to mention.
Yeah, totally intentionally. But this is also big because out of everybody, they can only refuse Aes Sedai passage.
Yeah, they're not really allowed to refuse anyone passage.
They give everybody passage. That's pretty big too. I mean, for the sea folk being so exotic and literally anybody can get on board as long as you like pay them.
Yeah.
And we say pay, but it's a gift, but it's paying. So
it's kind of like a cruise line. They're like the cruise line.
Yeah, it's a free cruise, except for the cost of the cruise.
Yeah, but like donation only.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like if you want to sail somewhere, you got to pay for your ride on the boat, and these people are your ride.
Yeah. So. I mean, I get that. So, and that is a big mystery, and it's kind of like, ooh, I wonder why, and we can kind of speculate.
And then it gets immediately answered. So, turns out, though, that these sea folk will take Elaine and Nynaeve, even though they're Aes Sedai, because the prophecies have been fulfilled.
Yeah,
and
so
Elaine,
this is big.
Yeah, Elaine goes, oh yeah, the prophecies of the dragon? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
The other ones.
That's what they're called.
The Jendai prophecy.
Yeah, the Jendai prophecy. The prophecy of the Koramor. So it turns out you were 100% correct in your prediction.
Probably.
About the Koramor being Rand.
Probably, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, and they seem pretty sure of it, so...
Yeah. It doesn't...
Are we going to do a flippity-flop and it's going to be somebody else?
Or
is it
no.
Probably Rand?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I just can't say that for sure yet.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, cue info and history on the sea folk. Brett, go.
Okay, sounds good. So he's the one they seek, and he is the herald of a new age. So they do make it an important distinction where it's like, we don't fear the Dragon Reborn. He's our Koramor, and he's like the promised one.
Right. And I would say that even that information is slightly skewed because the entirety of the mainland doesn't believe that the dragon is awful.
Yeah.
Just most of them.
Just like 50% of them.
I would say more than that.
Yeah. It's
but
like generous.
It's most of them because men who can channel are bad.
Yeah, so I get that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so let's get some sea folk history. So
yes.
At the breaking, the sea folk ancestors fled to the safety of the sea while the land broke apart, and it said that they knew nothing of the ships, but the light was with them and they survived, and they didn't see land again until it was still once more. And by that time, the world had changed. So in the years after the breaking, the Jendai prophecy was first spoken, and they must wander the water until the Koramor returns and serve him at his coming.
Well, that sort of sounds like the Aiel, who are trapped in their wasteland until he who comes with the dawn...
Yeah, comes to lead them out of the threefold land.
And then they can leave.
Yeah. Same.
Man, it's so... there are such similarities here.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good pickup.
And also we're just sidestepping the very obvious sexual joke that we're going to serve him after his coming.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Yeah. That's the worst.
It's so bad.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm 12.
Yeah, that's okay. So, more about the sea folk. They're bound to the sea. Most don't even set foot on land except to wait for another ship. And for birthing...
this part is crazy.
Yeah, women must bear their children on the water, even getting into a rowboat.
Paddle boat.
Got to get on the water. They must be born on the water, they must die on it, and they must be given to it in death.
Goodness gracious.
Water. But I mean, they're sea folk, right? So it also kind of makes sense. But anyways, we get a little snippet of what sounds like a direct translation from the Jendai prophecy, because she says, the White Tower shall be broken by his name, and Aes Sedai shall kneel to wash his feet and dry them with their hair.
And then he's like, fuck that shit.
And I get it, because it's like Rand.
Yeah.
But again, this is what the sea folk are taking as it's clearly an instance of the Aes Sedai serving Rand by them even being here, which is why they take them. So, that's pretty big too.
Right. And then we get into the sea folk women wanting to know why they want to go to Tanchico.
Yeah, that makes sense. They were just there, and it was terrible.
Yes.
So why do you want to go back there?
Yeah.
It's probably still terrible.
Right. And then Nynaeve starts to lose her attitude, gets a little bitchy.
Yeah.
And then Elaine decides to be very honest.
Yes. Surprisingly so.
Actually, not surprising.
No?
Actually. Are you joking?
Well, it's the whole,
all these women do, all these people do in this book is just, spout out
information that they shouldn't.
So much information. And it's only lucky if it becomes helpful that they've done that.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
pure
a good
luck
point.
at this point.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we want to keep the Black Aja a secret.
Yeah, and like
let's just go tell everybody.
Exactly, right? So Nynaeve says, do you question everybody like this?
Yes.
Kind of thing. And then Elaine goes, all right, we're looking for the Black Aja. They're super evil, and they're going to do something to hurt Rand.
Yeah, and he's your Coromor, so, okay, we gotta go.
Mm-hmm. So it turns out that's all that matters to these people. So now, Elaine and Nynaeve get passage.
Yeah, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. So Joran, the younger Windfinder, speaks for the first time and says that they must take them to Tanchico, and Elaine and Nynaeve are surprised that she's the one who makes the call.
Yeah.
Because she's the younger of the two.
Why is the Windfinder, not the Sail Mistress, the one making the call on the Aes Sedai?
Right.
And it's a big mystery here.
Right. Well, and it turns out you guys just don't know anything about boats. Like, how do you know a Windfinder isn't a higher rank than a Sail Mistress?
They don't know that,
They
too.
don't know at all, but at all, right? They're just...
Well, it's kind of like the whole captain of the ship thing. Why is the captain making the decision when the, I don't know, vice captain? I don't even know what, assistant captain? What's it on a boat?
I don't know.
First mate?
Co-captain.
Co-captains?
Well, in a plane, it's pilot and co-pilot.
Yeah, co-captain. There you go.
Co-manager.
Anyway.
Co-manager and co-manager.
But that's the question, is like, why is the co-manager making this decision? And we find out later it's clearly because Joran is the one who can channel, and she gets final say on if Aes Sedai can join. And that's kind of like the big hint there that Joran, the Windfinder, can channel.
Okay, true. If you didn't catch the 4 other hints.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of them, so.
All right, so here's where the husband comes in.
Husband Toram. I love this guy.
He's guy great. Comes in.
Yep.
And he's wearing glasses.
He is.
Described kind of funny.
Because they're described from a viewpoint of someone who doesn't know what the hell they're looking at.
Yeah, it's like lenses held together by wire that loops around your ears.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I know that they make the best looking glasses, but I don't know what's on his face.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's just like she's read it in a book. That they make glasses? Like she's never seen glasses?
No, she knows that the sea folk make the best looking glasses, like the big tubes that you stretch out like a pirate uses. Yeah, so like to see stuff really far away.
I thought you meant the best looking glasses.
Oh, no.
Like
best looking hyphen glasses, not best looking
oh my God.
Glasses.
Semantics. Okay. Anyway, turns out...
They're glasses.
Yeah, turns out this is Coeen. Is that how we're saying that?
Yeah, Coeen.
Yeah, so it's her husband. And he is the cargo master.
Yeah.
Which means he's in charge of all the like trading and stuff.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. So he mentions to her about some idiot willing to trade way too much for some of that sweet, sweet Two Rivers tobacco.
Yeah, so I got a big note to put beside this, and it's a little small piece here, but I think it's really important for the series.
Is it the fact that right now the tobacco is a hot commodity and that's super concerning?
Well, it is, but it's also this. We were introduced to Emmons Field and the Two Rivers as this little backwater village that nobody's ever heard of, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and even Camelin and Andor don't pay attention to it. But it turns out that they're so good at growing tabac that everybody knows about the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
The Two Rivers is not a secret little village no one knows about.
Yeah. Why aren't they taxed?
Too far out.
Oh.
Too far out. They can't send, guards out there. We got that before. It's just a little bit out of scope to actually get out there.
It's like people have heard of it, but they have no idea where it actually is. Like,
exactly.
They couldn't find it on the map.
But it's like, it's not unknown. And I think it's kind of like portrayed that way right now.
Okay. But let's get back to how concerning
it is concerning, yeah.
That the Two Rivers aren't producing so much anymore.
We're all out.
Yeah, but why?
Well, we know why.
I know.
Yeah.
I know that.
Perrin's gonna go deal with it.
Okay.
He's on his way literally right now.
I know, but I'm
to go get executed, then there will be tabac again.
The world is saved thanks to Perrin. That's sweet.
That's why there's 3 Taviran.
Tobacco.
Yeah.
Tobacco.
Yeah.
I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, why is everyone so concerned about it? I mean, people do like their tobacco, too.
That's true.
Like, they do smoke their pipes and stuff.
You're not going to convince me that it's tobacco. There's no chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, Coeen says, you know what? sorry, husband, we're actually going to Tanchico and we're doing no trading on the way. And he's like, what the fuck? That's not the plan. We're supposed to go to China.
Yeah.
And she's like, we can't go to China. We're going to Tanchico and that's it. And he's like, we're gonna go broke. And she's like, shut it. I'm in charge.
Well, this is huge for dynamics too. Like, I love the exchange here because it makes sense as a cargo master that you're trading with the destination in mind.
Yeah.
So it's like if you bought stuff from one place and it turns out you're just going to go back that direction.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's really frustrated.
Yeah.
And I really like how they call each other wife and husband.
It's pretty endearing.
I like it, actually.
Shall we? Shall we start that?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see if it catches.
This is my wife. A little John Mulaney for you.
Yeah. I'm not a witch, I'm your wife.
There you go. Little Princess Bride for you.
You're welcome. So, anyway, she's like, I'm in charge, get out of here. And he's like, fine. But then salutes her in some super insulting way.
Yeah.
And leaves.
Yeah. He's like, fine, if that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. And then she's like, I'm just going to have to make it up to him. But it's usually fun.
Yeah.
Sex.
Totally sex.
It's sex.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So anyway, side note, this guy, Toram, got a scar on his face from fighting the Shanshan.
Yeah, he fought up the Shanshan.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty huge.
Mm-hmm. And so now because Nynaeve and Elaine are on the ship, they are going to have to keep up that they are not Aes Sedai while they travel because apparently it's bad luck.
Yeah.
That's the
So I mean that
kind
of makes sense too. It's like bad omens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
there's lots of things. You're not supposed to have a banana on a boat while you're fishing. That's bad luck?
That sounds like you just made that up.
No, I didn't. That's a real thing. That's a real superstition.
Why would I have a banana in my holster?
Oh man, that's enough quotes. But that's a real superstition.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I 100% don't believe that's a real thing.
Okay. It's in a reading comprehension book for children. A non-fiction book about fishing facts.
Well, don't worry. They get a good luck omen in the next chapter, so.
Is it more boobs? No,
well,
I'm just kidding. Okay. Okay, we gotta move on.
Oh my god, okay. We still have another chapter to go through.
I'm aware. So...
Anyways, the point I wanted to make about Queen too is she wants to tell Toram, but she knows she can't yet, which is why... And he deserves it because there clearly is mutual respect in this relationship too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's good to know
She'll probably end up telling him.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just in the future.
Yeah. In a more tactful way because she understands tact.
After sex.
Good, okay. So... Now we get that Coen is not going to accept their gift, that it's enough, they're going to help the ones that serve the Coromor, but Coen is going to put in the gift of passage from her own chest.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to take their gold, but don't tell your husband where you're getting the money from.
It's from her other bank account that she's got money in that Toram doesn't know about.
Yeah.
It's her money.
Good for her, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
You gotta have your own savings, girl.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
And also they're sisters, which makes it even, in my mind, funnier, but...
Yeah.
It's just, such a good dynamic.
Yeah, it is. So, now it's time to get the ship ready, to get going, and then, all of a sudden, the ship starts a-rocking, lurching around like crazy, and it took about a minute for me to realize what was going on.
Yeah, this is the scene linking up with the event.
This is totally the scene linking up with the events. But that's the end of this chapter. And it cuts off in this cliffhanger, so it took me a minute.
Yeah, it's also, not definitively written like that, too.
No,
so.
I actually first thought they were just taking off.
Yeah, it's we struck a deal. Let's go.
Yeah, well, and I don't know that they're not ready to go as soon as they get on the boat.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't know.
The boat's going, whoa, up and down in the bay here.
Yeah, and they're thrashing around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
Good cliffhanger, though.
Yeah, good cliffhanger. And I got to read on here.
Yeah, you did, so.
Yeah, so chapter 20 is called Winds Rising. And we have the wavy picture. Yeah. And we stick with the Elaine point of view.
Yeah, because boats.
Yeah, and I have to say, these Elaine points of view, both of these chapters were a little bit stronger.
They were, yeah.
In her thought process, in her opinions on things. Like, I felt better about Elaine and her perspectives.
I mean, it could be a thing where she's not getting overpowered by the other characters too, and that kind of adds to her personality. Like, she maybe is a little bit meek at this point.
And
so
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So, turns out the big, quote, earthquake is over, and so they all rush up onto the deck, and Elaine stares toward the stone and hopes that Rand is okay.
Yeah, and thinks it was for sure Rand.
Yeah.
So this is a sequence where Perrin and Fael darted away out of the city.
Yes.
Same event.
Yes. And also, I'm still not invited to what's going on in the stone.
Oh, don't you worry. Things will happen.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Nynaeve either makes a joke here or is serious. It's hard to say. But
yeah.
she says that Elaine's second letter touched a nerve, which, like, caused Rand to do that because men are bad at emotions.
Yeah, it's like you're...
But at first, it reads like, haha, but then it kind of seems like Nynaeve's super serious because she keeps going on about how men suck at dealing with their feelings.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of projection too here, Nynaeve.
Like, there's no way that Rand just shook all of Tyr because he read a letter from Elaine.
Not just a letter, it was the second letter, so maybe we don't know what's in those letters.
Like, he was so upset. Like,
Yeah.
I have no.
Probably not that.
Definitely not that.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, it is verification that she did in fact send a second letter.
Oh, for sure, she did.
So, like, there's that.
I just really want Nynaeve to be joking, but I don't think she is.
No time for that now.
Yeah.
Because her two favorite characters show up.
Yeah, because then Nynaeve goes, fuck, what are they doing here?
Yep.
Turns out they is Tom, and I went, oh, of course, because in the last chapter, I wanted to predict whether or not Tom was actually going to be joining them.
Yeah.
Because now that they were on the ship,
yeah,
I wanted to talk about, well, where's Tom, if he's coming or not.
Well, it's another Ferris Bueller situation with Matt and Tom running to catch and jump onto the boat.
Nah.
Like they did from Tarvalin, so...
Now, should I admit that I haven't seen that movie?
No. Keep
Okay.
that one to yourself.
All right.
Okay.
And then, you know who else is there?
Yep.
Fucking Julian.
Fucking Julian.
Julian.
Not Julian.
Yeah. That's bold, man.
It's an interesting thing.
So bold of him to show up here to help them.
It's not him, number one.
Well,
and number two, he already redeemed himself. And number three, it wasn't his problem in the first place. It's not his fault. Julian did nothing wrong.
Except the fact that he's showing up here is bold because he knows they're going to be pissed at him.
But it's better than the alternative.
Which is Rand being pissed at him?
Is Lan being pissed at him.
And Rand.
Yeah, let's be real about who sent Julian.
We can call him Sandar.
Yeah, Sandar.
You're struggling.
I'm struggling, yeah.
Okay, anyway, at this point, Coen comes back into the scene saying that the boat isn't damaged and they can leave within the hour, and she sees this scene of intense stare down kind of going on and says, well, they asked for passage and I can't say no. It's kind of the rules. But I guess we could break the rules if you don't want them here.
Yeah, it's like we can bend him a little bit and say no
for
to these
you
guys.
And then turns out she knows Sander.
Yeah, she does.
He's caught some thieves for them in the past and is a good man.
He did honest work in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what the intention was when he first met the girls too.
100%. And, I was always on his side. Like, I know he ended up betraying them, but it was totally Leandrin who forced him into it.
When you say, like, he betrayed them, it sounds like what Nynaeve is saying.
Yeah. Well, he did, though. Whether you're forced into it or not, he betrayed them.
It sounds like he wasn't just, like, twisted his arm into it. It sounds like he was magically made to do it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But that's the thing. So, like, it's not that he just got...
betrayed them.
Oh, I don't like that word, though.
But he gave them away.
Yeah.
Whether it was of his own volition or not.
There is a difference between being forced to magically and being forced to under duress.
I completely agree.
There's a difference.
We're not arguing here.
But I gotta fight for my boy here.
Sure.
Yeah.
He gave them away, though.
Sure.
Whether he did it
magically
on purpose
induced.
of his own volition, he still did it, and they can still be upset about it.
Yeah, okay.
They got beat the fuck up and thrown in a cell because he gave their...
They shouldn't be mad at him about that. They should be mad at the Black Aja about that.
No, but you're the one who's always saying they're allowed to be human and have flaws.
I have never said that.
That's what makes these characters so endearing.
Hey, just because they can have emotions doesn't mean I have to agree with them.
You are being really weird taking this stand right now. This is usually what I do, and you're talking me down about it. Okay, let's move on, because it's also really good to have a Glee man on a ship.
Yeah, it is. Entertaining and stuff.
Yeah. So, Nynaeve is like, okay, well, let's see what they want. Like, why are they here?
Yeah.
And then we'll decide.
Because they clearly don't know each other, too. So.
And then Elaine takes a little bit of a note, a little bit of their tactics, and she uses that to their advantage, telling Nynaeve not to do any of the talking. Elaine says, I'll do the talking and you watch them.
Yeah, smart. There you go.
Okay. Super smooth.
Yeah.
So, this is where Elaine starts thinking that Tom is super familiar, but she can't place it.
Yeah.
Cue the theme for this entire freaking chapter.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, it's helpful that we just got last chapter with Tom and Maureen about the backstory.
A little bit, yeah. So I do have to say that the next page and a half really confused me, and only because I have to admit that I'm really bad at reading.
It's a boobs out situation.
This is not anyone's fault but my own. Like, this isn't a confusing scene at all.
It makes it better, though.
I think I zoned out while I was reading, and I didn't know who was talking, whether it was Tom or whether it was Sandar. And so when Sandar is giving this whole explanation about Lan going to him and asking him to go for some shepherd, whatever, I thought that was Tom talking, and so I thought Tom was making up a story.
Okay.
Because he knows that Rand and Elaine are a thing, and Lan and Nynaeve are a thing. I thought he was playing to their, like, woman emotions to get to stay. Okay. And it was, like, an entirely different scene that I read again. I have to get better at reading.
Well, okay.
Because then...
This is pretty entertaining, too, though.
Okay. So, going back, though, turns out Elaine says to Sandar, hey, last time I saw you, you didn't serve us well.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're remembering it wrong. Last time I saw you, I helped save your ass.
That's true. And also, she, like, really indicates to him that they don't want to be called Aes Sedai here.
Yes.
Like, clearly he remembers them, but she emphasizes, like, hey, I'm just Elaine, and this is just Nynaeve.
And I'm sure Julian knows about the sea folk not allowing Aes Sedai.
Yeah, he's worked for them before, and he's pretty smart, so...
Yeah. I just feel like most older people in this universe have knowledge and experience about people that these really relatively young people.
I mean, even Elaine, like, as daughter heir.
Yeah, no experience.
She's got, like, book learning skills, but not, like...
That's it. Yeah.
Street smarts.
Yeah. So, they want to know why Sandar is going to Tanchico, not Tom, at this point.
Yeah.
And... then he goes, well, a man named Lan came on behalf of another man, and he's all cryptic about it, but Rand and Lan want him to go and watch out for them or something. Like, I'm still...
So, okay, so let's just break this down. So what happens is Lan comes busting into Julian's house half an hour ago, mind you.
Okay.
And says, hey, I'm here on behalf of Rand. You're going to Tanchico, and you're going to go and make sure that Nynaeve gets out alive, because if she doesn't make it out alive, you should drown yourself because I'm going to murder you.
Got it.
So that's basically what happens with Lan.
And then he, like, says something about all secretive about the shepherd.
But yeah, that's what Lan came on behalf of Rand. But it's like totally Lan making sure that Julian is going to protect Nynaeve. Yeah. Because he says if she doesn't make it out, then he's going to kill him. Yeah. So, and also pays him a lot of money.
Yeah, well,
There's that too, so.
Yeah. It's different when I thought that Tom was making up this story.
That is different.
So, Nynaeve is super annoyed, yet flattered at the same time.
Well, you know.
And Elaine thinks she should send Rand another letter.
Well, because Elaine hears that it's Rand that sent him, and Nynaeve hears that it's Lan.
Yeah.
So it's like they're hearing their own version of the same story.
And they're both flattered, except mad. They're mattered. Flattered. Okay. So then they ask Tom, oh, is it the shepherd that sent you two? And he's like, nope, it's Moraine.
Yep.
Plus, he's got skills that are mad useful.
Yeah, and it does seem like these two guys are going to be helpful because these girls cannot take care of themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
I was actually quite concerned for them.
Yeah, I mean, not even in like a condescending way. These girls are just like not ready for it.
They have proven to be not experienced enough for this level of shit.
Yeah, they need help. They do.
They do. They need help. And Elaine thinks that Tom is familiar again and then can't stop herself from reaching out and pulling on one of his mustaches.
Yeah, this is great.
It's so stupid.
Okay. Why do you hate it?
It's so weird and stupid.
It's muscle memory.
No.
Uh-huh.
Not from being an infant.
It might be.
Now.
You don't know.
I think it's stupid. And she's embarrassed. And that's embarrassing. And then Tom just sort of stares at her because it's like fucking weird. And then she like stutters and is like, I'm sorry. I don't know why, but I remember.
It's not weird. It's endearing.
No, I didn't like it.
Okay.
So Nynaeve decides that they're allowed to come. And Tom says, listen, lady, I'm a free man and I can do whatever I want. And she's like, you better promise to do what we say whenever we say it. And Tom's like, no.
No, but he says yes.
Eventually,
they agree to it.
Because she just like stares him down. And he really doesn't want to, but he finally does.
Well, I mean, and I also get where Nynaeve's coming from. Like, they want to be in charge, and they don't want these guys treating them like they're children. Even though that,
and then Tom's like, I'm not going to endanger you. I'm going to do the opposite of that, idiot.
Yeah, I'm going to help.
Yeah. So the men go off to tell the sail mistress that they're going to stay, and Nynaeve and Elaine discuss whether or not the men know why they're going to Tanchico. Nynaeve has a good point about Sandar donning a disguise.
Yeah.
Because if they run into Leandrin or other Black Aja, they could recognize him and then wreck everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
just like grow a mustache.
Yeah.
Grow out your hair.
Put on makeup.
Huh? Wear a dress.
Act floofy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they have a whole discussion about whether or not they can trust Tom, and about Moraine, and about how Nynaeve definitely doesn't trust Moraine, which is nothing new. Yeah. Moraine is controlling Rand, blah, blah, blah.
Stuff.
All that stuff.
Same.
Same.
Yep.
Anything to add?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the ship takes off with a Terran pilot on board.
Yes.
As is law or something.
Yep.
Because of
reasons. So basically, if you want to come into or leave Tyr, you have to have a pilot to guide you through the fingers of the dragon, because that's just how they do things. So the pilot comes with you, gets off at the little exit point when we see a little bit later.
And turns out the sea folk are exceptionally good.
The sea folk don't need the Terran, pilot, dude to tell them how to, ship their ship.
Yeah, exactly. And so he probably is helpful to other ships and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like an arbitrary rule.
Yeah.
But it's just what it is, so.
So yeah, now that guy's on board, but the sea folk know what they're doing better than this guy. And Nynaeve goes down to the cabins, obviously because she's feeling sick.
Yep.
And Elaine goes to explore about.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because the thing that they were told was keep below deck as much as possible.
Yeah.
And the first thing Elaine does is not stay below deck.
Go look at the dolphins, man.
I mean, okay.
So this is a very non-royal way to travel, and she loves it.
Elaine wants to go on an adventure. And I have an important question to ask you.
Yeah, what?
Do you think the whole when in Rome situation with Elaine is going to, come about at any point? We know the sea folk women like to,
be topless?
Be topless. And Elaine wants to be on an adventure. Do you think she's going to come around and, when in Rome, do as the Romans do?
Now, the only reason I say maybe is because, so we eventually get out to sea here.
Yeah.
And all the women drop their blouses. And Elaine has some trouble with this and thinks, as long as they don't expect me to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
And the one rule about Robert Jordan's writing is if somebody says, I'm not going to do that.
They're going to immediately do that?
Probably going to do that. Except for Matt getting lost in Camelin. Because they literally spent 20 minutes there and left.
Yeah,
but,
in and out.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a funny thing.
More often than not,
could you see her maybe getting on board? Yeah,
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I 100% see that, and I see Nynaeve never getting on board,
and then being mad at Elaine about it.
Yeah, about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a funny thing.
It's a funny thing. I mean, maybe not, but maybe.
Let's put it in the maybe column.
Yeah, okay. So we get some information about the towns around Tyr.
Yeah, Tyr's a dick, basically, to everybody.
They're not allowed to grow
Yep.
any bigger than...
certain size, so for competition, obviously.
Yeah.
We're going to tax you for having buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is probably why they were so upset that Rand wants to change the tax rules.
Oh, yeah, also because they want to keep on doing what they've always done. So, there's that.
Yep. Anyway, this is where we're having that Julin is also having a very hard time with all these topless women.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know where to look. And
it's at his feet, out in the sky.
Yeah, so he just leaves also. He goes down to the cabin.
It's really tough.
Yeah. So Elaine is watching the dolphins and then comes across Tom, who's also watching the dolphin.
Hey.
Dolphins.
Remember how I said there's a good luck sequence here?
Uh-huh. No.
So dolphins apparently swimming around your ship is an omen of good luck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the movie Titanic, there were dolphins frolicking about that Jack and Rose watch.
Oh my god. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened to the Titanic?
It wasn't good luck, babe.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Something bad happened?
They must have made that up, though.
Probably.
For the movie.
Also, there's flying fish or something here, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird description, but I think maybe flying fish.
There's a lot of things about the marine life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine.
And, dolphins pushing into shore.
Can we get back to Tom here?
I guess so. Okay.
Because he talks about a lot of stuff, and I want to get into it.
Okay, yeah.
So, again, she thinks he is so familiar to her. And Tom is being a tad mopey.
He is,
Maybe a little angsty, even.
A little bit, yeah.
Here. So, because it turns out it doesn't even matter if he composes the Epic of Rand, because everyone will forget one day and their lives are all meaningless.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I gotta nitpick a couple things here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tom might be being mopey, but let's just, role play a little bit here. He had Tarangale basically murdered, from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
He was, in some ways, a father figure to Elaine when she was a little girl.
Yeah.
So, if things had gone better between him and Morghese, Elaine would in some way, possibly, be like his daughter.
Sure. What point are you getting at here?
There's a reason for him being a little bit sad about this sequence.
Oh, okay. I suppose.
You don't agree?
No. Not about that.
Why?
I thought he was upset because he had to leave Rand, and he's upset leaving Rand to the Aes Sedai.
I mean, that too, but...
I really don't think that this is what you're talking about.
I mean, a little bit.
Nah, maybe, but I think that he's standing here all mopey watching the dolphins, not because he's sad that he never got to be a father to Elaine, but he's upset that he had to leave Rand to the Aes Sedai like he left Owen to the Aes Sedai.
Oh, good point. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, different ways to look at it, so...
I guess so. Anyway...
But also...
Doesn't matter, because our lives are meaningless and no one's going to remember this anyway.
That's true. He's a little bit nihilistic here.
Yeah.
But he does mention that the next age may be no more than a year or two off.
Whoa. Because of Tarvin Gaiden, and there's no way to know what defines when an age ends and another begins.
So, that kind of gives us a little bit of a viewpoint on how long this book series could last.
Yeah.
Is in the scheme of things...
Well, that's just Tom's opinion.
Tom's opinion.
Yeah, well, that's your opinion. Okay. So this goes on for a while about how everything's meaningless and no one's going to remember shit. And Tom has a lot of examples of a lot of stories that people probably don't even remember properly.
Okay.
And Elaine thinks he looks familiar.
Okay.
Yeah, Elsbeth.
No. Before that.
Oh.
So he makes a good point about generations and generations between things happening. The story is going to get twisted.
100%.
And it's really funny because he says, maybe you'll be the hero of it. Maybe Matt, maybe Len, maybe even myself.
Yeah.
And then he says, this is great, by the way. Tom Maryland, not a gleeman, but what? Not eating fire, but breathing it, hurling it about like an Aes Sedai. Tom Maryland, the mysterious hero, toppling mountains and raising up kings. Who is Tom Maryland based on? Maryland.
Oh, Merlin.
Merlin.
Yeah.
So Merlin,
the wizard, yeah.
the wizard who hurls fireballs and raised up literally King Arthur.
Yeah.
So it's the whole connection of the Wheel of
that's
Time.
Cute. I
And
like
it's
that.
like a nice little sequence where RJ's like, hey, maybe Merlin is based on Tom Maryland, right?
Just a regular old
Gleeman, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty great.
Okay.
And then Randall Thor will be lucky if in the next age, people even remember his name, and maybe his name will be not Randall Thor, and maybe just Thor, because there's already lots of
throwing
allusions,
thunderbolts around,
right?
Yeah.
Rand to Thor is basically the same person.
Sure.
Anyways, but that's just a funny little thing.
Okay. And then he also brings back Elsbeth and Anla.
We went over all those
We
when
did.
they first came up. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Way back in Eye of the World.
Yeah,
And we
way
did
back.
one of our very first bonus episodes.
Do you remember who all they are?
Well,
Who's Mosk and Merc?
That one I don't remember.
Moscow and America.
Okay.
And the Spears of Fire are probably like missiles.
Oh, the missiles.
Yep.
And then Elsbeth is Queen Elizabeth.
Yep, because Britain basically conquered the whole world at some point.
Well, okay.
If you've seen a map of where Britain has been,
Yeah, okay.
it's everywhere.
And then Anla is Anne Landers, the wise one.
Probably not actually Queen Elizabeth's sister.
Definitely not, actually. And that's all there is.
Yeah. And then the funny little quip again, because we get it over and over again about like silk and ivory and...
Like, what animals do they even come from?
Yeah, and maybe...
We don't even know.
What kind of plant grows silk? Maybe it's not a plant, maybe it's an animal, which
Yeah.
is a funny joke because it's an animal.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, but moving on.
Yeah.
Tom says something about how Elaine is just like her mother, and she thinks he should not speak of a queen in such familiar tones, but yet does not connect any dots.
Nope.
Which is...
She was too young to know.
No, but it's infuriating right now. She's thinking, this guy looks so familiar. How do I know him? He really seems so familiar. She's trying to make him laugh to spark something. And he talks about knowing her mother in familiar terms. And then in a minute, she thinks about how he's talking to her as father to daughter, but still nothing.
Nothing.
Like, she doesn't think, oh, maybe he's talking about my mother in familiar tones because he knew my mother and I knew him when I was a child. Like, it...
Those are hard dots to connect sometimes.
I feel like she's trying so hard that she's just missing it.
She's doing her best.
Oh, jeez, Elaine. It's like incredible.
But her best isn't good enough.
It's incredibly frustrating. All right. I thought I would just yell that
It is
out there.
frustrating.
It's just so annoying because it's like, are you really this naive? Can we really... Is this believable that she wouldn't connect these dots?
But I mean, like, you might not know.
It.
You might not remember someone from when you were 3.
No, 100% you don't. But if I meet someone who looks familiar and then they start talking about my mother, oh, you're just like your mother.
I mean, you could ask, like, do you know my mother?
The first thing I would think is, how do you know I'm just like my mother?
Yeah.
Do you know my mother?
She could ask that. She does not.
That's the first thing I would think of. And so I don't even think that this is even very believable.
Okay.
It's annoying.
Wow, criticism.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't often criticize very much, but because there's not much to criticize, but this annoyed me.
Well, if you're looking for annoying scenes, you just,
yeah, but
let's wait for it.
But the next one that comes up is so good, so it makes up for it.
Okay.
So she thinks that she knows she can trust him, and then she thinks something about a child, and it's like something goes off in her head, like she's about to connect the child to, like, when I was a child, I knew him.
Yeah.
But then something way cooler happens.
Super cool.
She hurries off toward the wind finder at the stern of the ship.
Yes.
Turns out this woman is channeling to make the ship go fast.
Well, not to make it go fast, to not let the boat sink in the giant storm that's happening.
Right.
Yeah. Also to make it go fast, like she does that too.
She controls the wind and the water so that they zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's channeling hard.
Yeah. So Elaine stops to study what she's doing, and she's like channeling water and air in a very complex weave.
Cable thick. So like when we're talking about size and power here, we've heard that these girls are supposed to be ultra powerful.
Yeah.
And this windfinder is doing something so intricate that she's channeling as far as the eye can see. Like, it's crazy, crazy big.
Mm-hmm. And so Elaine goes up to her, and Joran says that she felt Elaine watching her, but she couldn't just like stop in the middle of what she was doing. And her weave of the winds should hold until morning to avoid any storms and to go quickly.
Yeah.
So Elaine figures out that this is why Aes Sedai are not allowed on the ships.
Makes
so
sense.
This she figures out. She figures out everything else, and I'm supposed to believe she can't figure out that Tom knew her mother?
Well, hey, come on.
No.
Just because you want her to figure it out.
Don't buy it.
It's unreliable narrator, and it's like, they're not perfect.
I don't buy it.
They can't figure out everything you want. It's just like when characters don't remember stuff that happened in their own lives. That happens all the time.
This one bothered me. This was obvious.
Hey, next time you walk into a room and you're like, why the hell did I walk into this room?
Oh, no. That's not even a little bit the same. And I can tell you about implicit memory if you want, but I'm not going to say that this is anything like that.
Okay.
That one...
Things are heating up in the Elaine chapter.
This one...
Who would have expected that?
Yeah, not me. And it's not even about the channeling.
No, it's not.
Okay, let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I'll stop whining. So, turns out... This is why Joran got to decide to let them on the boat, and she basically self-sacrificed, in her opinion, in her view, because the reason they don't let the Aes Sedai on is they're going to get found out.
Yeah.
And then the White Tower's going to get involved.
Yep,
and
they're
then
meddlers.
Too many of them are going to get pulled away from the sea.
Yeah.
Which will be too difficult for them.
They don't want to be a part of the tower.
No.
So they basically sacrifice a few girls to go to keep the Aes Sedai away. So the Aes Sedai just think that the sea folk don't have very many channelers.
Right.
Which is why does that even work on them? But again, White Tower recruitment practices are terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joran was kind of secretly hoping that they weren't actually Aes Sedai and they were just fakers, but she could feel their strength. And now she's sad that the White Tower will know about her. And I was just thinking, this is such a big sacrifice.
It is, yeah.
And she was doing it for the Coromor, right?
And I just hate Elaine's half-assed, promise of, I won't tell unless I have to, and then I'll try to protect you. It's
with my mother's influence.
It's so half-assed, and it's just, so insincere. Well, maybe not insincere, but it's just so naive.
I would say it's very sincere. I would say Elaine is almost fuck the White Tower. I'm not going to tell any of them on purpose. It's almost like she's Elaine still, right? She's very diplomatic.
She is.
And I feel like she has this connection with this woman.
Yeah.
And she really doesn't want to tell anyone, but she knows that, Moraine can suss stuff out.
Well, here's the thing.
She knows that eventually she's probably going to have to tell someone about this.
But that's the thing.
She's going to try not to.
And that's why it's so half-assed, because if you want to say, I'm not going to tell anyone, you could go ahead and not tell anyone. She could keep this secret.
She absolutely
could. But she's giving
Elaine.
herself
she's
an out.
The worst, yeah.
She's giving herself an out so that she can tell and then not feel bad about it. I hate it.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's talk about Moraine here, because Moraine 100%
knows about this?
Knows what's up. There's a reason why Moraine would send these two girls, not tell them everything they need to know about, not giving Aes Sedai passage, because she knows that she can get these two girls on the ship and then get the information out of them later about the sea folk.
Well, and also, maybe Moraine knows about them.
Or suspects.
And if they can get on a super fast boat, because that's how she explained it, right? It's a raker, it's the fastest.
Yeah.
She knows these girls are going to get to Tanchico the fastest if there's a channeler on that boat too.
Yeah.
That might be part of it.
It's kind of like Moraine suspects at least something about windfinders
yeah.
and channeling and something,
yeah.
but she needs an inside,
maybe it's less about that. Maybe it's more about getting them to Chanchico. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So also, Elaine, all of a sudden, such a fact finder, figures out that there was a Damane on the Shan-Chen ship. That's hard to say.
Shan-Chen ship?
Yep. And Joran says that if she knew that that woman was a captive, she would have done more to help her.
But
which is kind of sad.
It is, but here's the thing about the Damani that we already know.
Some of them, the ones like originally from Shanshan,
the ones who are already broken are, captives, but they're in it.
Yeah.
They're not going to take that opportunity to escape.
Right.
So, like that
maybe they will. Maybe they would.
Maybe, but it's like maybe.
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen them in that position. But yeah, the ones from like birth.
Like their system of breaking
culture.
people is pretty harsh.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we sort of get the Shanshan fight story, like the breakdown.
Yeah.
Joran fought by starting fires on the Shanshan ship, which was super hard for her.
Yeah.
Like she can barely channel more than enough to light a lamp.
Yeah.
But she did it because the light willed it so.
Yeah. And it was like hard emotionally also because it's like you don't want to sink a boat because
she's
they
like,
are boat people.
That ship was such a nice ship.
I mean, they got good. The Shanshan have like ocean-faring, cross-continent.
Like a collector of classic cars.
Yeah.
Needing to destroy a classic car. Right? Like
good reference.
Thanks.
There you go.
Yeah, something like she totally respected the majesty of this ship.
Of the ship. It's like the people on the ship are assholes.
Yeah, but she's like,
the ship
I
itself
really didn't want that boat to sink, but I had to make it, right?
Yeah.
So that was obviously a surprise to the Shanshan, finding that, right? Like, there's a woman there who can channel.
Oh, yeah. And that there's someone who can, like, compete against them.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically washed over Falma.
Yes.
With no competition, so.
Well, exactly, right? And so Elaine asks why they call their ships he, and turns out it's just like a man who's so fickle.
I mean, I kind of like the analogy.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes sense to me, but...
Yeah, no, I like it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It works for me. I don't really care if boats have pronouns, personally.
Do it. Whatever.
So, yeah. Whatever you guys want to do, I guess. So Elaine looks over and sees that Tom is gone and thinks that she was so close to figuring it out, but now it's gone.
Just forgot. Shoot.
And so Joran says it'll take 10 days to get to Tanchico if they don't stop and if the light wills it so. Which seems crazy fast to Elaine.
Real fast.
And we also haven't talked at all about how these sea folk are very into the light. I don't know how to say it. Like, they're very all about
the light willing it. So, I mean,
right?
That does make sense because they're clearly prophecy driven. It kind of sounds like at least the Windfinders / Sailmistresses know about the prophecies. It's not like in Randland where the prophecies of the dragon are whispered and not talked about and nobody knows them. And here it's like he's our savior, so people know about it because we got to find the Coromor.
Yeah.
We're searching for him. We got to find him.
Yeah.
And everyone for the Dragon Reborn in Randland's like, oh, we got to try and kill all the false dragons.
Yeah.
So there's a very different dynamic of that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I agree. It's just very fate driven.
Yeah.
If the light wills it so, it'll be.
And that's also their people's survival story.
Yeah.
The light willed us to survive after the breaking on the waters.
That's how they feel about it.
So, yeah.
Right. Like, not their grit or will or strength to survive, but the light did it.
Light did it.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, so then Elaine asks Joran to teach her what she did, which is very surprising to Joran.
This is huge.
This is
like,
big.
I can't emphasize enough how big this is.
And I can't tell you how much I love this.
Okay.
I love it. This informal, like, training from other people who know different things than you.
Yeah.
Or even what different from the White Tower can teach you.
But just remember the initial introduction between them where they just assumed that Nynaeve and Elaine were the all-powerful Aes Sedai who know everything. Mm-hmm. Oh, how do they know about the Shanshan? Oh, they just know because they're Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh.
Joran's like, what do you mean teach you? You're an Aes Sedai.
You know everything about channeling.
Don't you already know this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like,
and Elaine is like, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And Joran's like, okay, cool. Maybe we both can learn.
But it kind of like takes the veil of mysticism away from the Aes Sedai for these sea folk, where it's like, okay, the Aes Sedai are actually...
this one individual sea folk.
But I mean, that's the thing about stereotyping, is when you meet one person who doesn't fit the stereotype, it might start to change your perspective on people.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a weird take here, so.
No, but I like it.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and that's the end of this chapter.
Yeah, we got introduced to the sea folk.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And I'm surprised I like them so much.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you know the piratey Ilianers? How do you say that? The people from Alien?
Yeah, Ilianers.
Are like gruff and at least Bale Doman
Bale
is.
Doman, like our one,
right?
he's our
like
pirate
the
guy.
one guy I know. Like when I pictured the sea folk, I didn't picture them to be so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really didn't. This wasn't what I was thinking at all.
Yeah.
I like them a lot.
I love the fact that we can have so many different like exotic, and I'll use exotic because it's used here, but exotic cultures where they are so different than what we're used to. The Aiel, the Sea Folk, the Shanchan, and they are so unique in so many different ways.
Yeah, I think that's why I like the Aiel. And I got a lot of, flack for saying that I really like the Shanchan.
Hey, it's okay to like them. They're good.
I felt like in the story, they're a really cool, they're a neat new culture to learn about.
They are, absolutely.
Right? And
they're not great people.
No,
but they're
100% not. They're obviously the villains.
But they're a great people.
It's kind of like why I like Lanfear so much. Like, she's
Yeah.
so cool and interesting and intricate.
Yeah.
Even though she's a bad guy.
She's a great villain.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so I feel the same way about these people, and I want to know more about them and their ways. Yeah.
The Sea Folk are good. I like them.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
You're going to love the next chapters, though.
Yeah, I know. I took a peek by
Can
accident.
I do a teaser for the next title?
Yeah, please do. I
Okay.
actually don't know the title, but I remember it's the dragon picture.
It is the dragon picture, and it's called Into the Heart.
Oh, of the stone.
Boom. Okay.
So am I invited to the meeting now?
You might be invited to the meeting.
Cool, because it's all the managers.
Yep. Big manager meeting.
Top guy.
Yep. Everybody in the same room.
Announcing something about the company.
And we got the two
big.
indications of the earthquake.
Yeah, I want to know what the fuck happened.
What? Okay, it's great. Okay.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so let's end it there.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to say that this is part of the pattern now.
Yeah, it's part of the pattern.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted by Danny and Brett, edited by Danny, produced by Danny and Brett with Passion Socks, Mozyme, Moltude, Benjamin, Vince Lewick, Michelle O'Brien, Sarah Wyatt, and Jamie Young. With music by Audionautics.com. You can pick up your own The Wheel Weave shot glasses, frosty mugs, t-shirts, and more at newcreations.jen.com/collections/the-wheel-weaves. You can become a patron at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast to support us making great content. You will also get access to bonus content, bonus episodes, stickers, keychains, monthly Q&A episodes, unedited video episode releases, and more. Don't forget to join the conversation over at our Discord channel. The link is posted on our Twitter page and our Patreon page. And find us on social media on Twitter and Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. Thanks again for listening to this episode. Don't forget to tell a friend about us because referrals really are the best compliment. And I'm going to say that this is part of the pattern now.